Good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for joining me this evening. My name is Terry Milroy. I am the host of this lovely event tonight, and as we get started, let me just take a minute to say that we're having a terrible storm right here where I live. We're having high winds and heavy rains, as well as some thunder and lightning. And since I live in the country, there is a small chance that we may have a blip in our electricity. If that happens, I will try to jump right back on the call. Please try to rejoin and we'll finish up wherever we left off. So the subject of tonight's webinar is called 3 Hacks to Create More Net Profit in Your Launches. Actually, it's net profit in your business, but that's okay, as well as impact. And that's what we're going to talk about today, because money is not always the most important thing. But for those of us who are entrepreneurs, most of us are out there, yes, for money, but more so to make a bigger impact in the world. And that's what we are going to focus on today. So let's get started. You know you're in the right place if, first of all, launches might be stressful for you. You might actually feel that sick kind of yucky feeling in your stomach because you know that you're going to have to run ads, post, and hope that you get the numbers that you're looking for in your launches. Or you may be locked in the grip of imposter syndrome, wondering why you've got students who are maybe not finishing your programs, maybe not answering your requests for testimonials or for feedback, just kind of disappearing. And you're wondering if maybe you just aren't cut out for this. You may also be in the right place if revenue in your business has plateaued. Or for every additional dollar that you make, you have spent at least $1 in additional ad revenue. You may be in the right place if you are having trouble attracting new clients organically, if most of your traffic now is cold traffic from paid ads, and most of those people are not necessarily your ideal customer. And finally, not listed on your slide, you may be in the right place if you are a new coach or course creator and you want to put your digital content together in such a way that you don't have to deal with any of this moving forward. So in any of those cases, I think that you'll find something tonight that will really help you out. So here's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about how to refine your content so that you address the way your customers learn. And that sounds boring. It sounds like something that you don't have time or energy to learn, but I promise you, as we go through the content tonight, you're going to understand better why it is so important, if you want to scale your business and your impact, that you have to know how to serve the people that you have in your programs in order to do so. You're also going to learn about some things called scaffolding and sequencing, and also modalities and how to put together correct modalities for your clients. And 2 rewards, if you are on here live today, and thank you for those of you who have joined live, there's 2 bonuses for being here live today. One of them is that each and every one of you is being noted and will be entered into a random drawing to win a one-to-one session with me, either to review your content for the concepts we cover tonight or for coaching around your niche and the teaching of it. Second bonus that will be posted in the chat at the end of the session is the perfect video checklist. Part of teaching well is teaching with video. And there are some simple tips to create and edit videos better that I have compiled and will share with you at the end of today's program. So you may be wondering how this training might have impacted me. Why am I even in this particular weird niche that a lot of people are not in? Well, for one thing, let me start out by saying this is not just what I do for my online business. This is what I do for my 9-to-5 job and have for nearly 2 decades now. I've been on TV. I've been asked to speak at conferences all over the country, and my last conference, represented by the middle picture, was at Orlando, right outside of Disneyland, or Disney World, sorry. And then I've also won a number of awards for my work in this area, as well as the outcomes that I've produced for some of my clients. So it has changed my life and changed it for the better. And based upon the results that years of this work has done, I am confident that I can make a big difference for you as well. So a little bit about me. As I said, my name is Terry Milroy. I am a business and life coach. I just started a podcast. It's called the Profit Able Podcast. It's on Spotify right now, but it is moving to iTunes and iHeartRadio and all the others very shortly. So take a look. I am someone who has been in curriculum design and development for over 16 years, almost 17 years now. And I started out, very honestly, in education and nonprofit work. And I did that for most of my career in this area. And then about a year ago, I transitioned to also working with industry partners. And so I have success with these teaching tools in higher education, in nonprofits, and in industry and business. And now I am bringing them to the online space. Why? Well, very simply, I started out as a young coach wanting to be coached. And I entered several coaching programs over the first couple of years that I was a coach. And, you know, one of the things that really disappointed me was the fact that a lot of what was presented to me in the form of either courses or quote unquote group programs that were mainly a course where there was occasionally a live call is the fact that the content really didn't make sense to me. Not to brag, but I'm a fairly smart person. I have 2 master's degrees. I don't think that I'm stupid. And as I was learning or trying to learn how to be a coach and how to take my coaching online, a lot of what was presented to me was not presented in a way that made a lot of sense. And even where intellectually I understood the concepts, I didn't understand how to use the information. And in several of those programs, I was actually in an accountability group with other people. And one of those programs in particular, I was in an accountability group with 10 or 11 other people. And it was a 3-month program. By the end of the first 30 or 40 days, I was one of only 2 people still trying to get through the content. Everybody else had just quit. And it struck me about a year ago that one of the issues with online coaching and teaching is not that those of you who are out there doing courses and coaching and all of those things are not brilliant in your particular area of expertise. You are brilliant. And in fact, you're so brilliant that, as I'll explain shortly, one of the reasons I chose this particular area to focus on is because I get to learn a little bit about all of these areas that interest me by helping coaches and course creators who are specializing in that niche. But it occurred to me that most coaches and course creators are not educators by training. They are mimicking, in terms of how their content is put together, how their coach or coaches did it. And those people are mimicking the people they learn from, and so on and so forth. And it's kind of a self-perpetuating problem, so that everybody is really well-intentioned and they have lots of really good information to share, but they don't know enough about educational theory and the science behind how education works to actually put stuff together in such a way that they're able to help all of their clients be successful. Now, there's always people who are successful, and I know this is not really about me, but there are always people in every program that are successful because either they really resonate with the person who's teaching, there's an energy there that really works for them, or they are so interested in the topic that they're willing to watch a video over and over again, or do extra work or dig extra hard to get the information because they're just so motivated. But even people who really want something, let's say in this case, who really want to build a coaching program or course, they aren't necessarily motivated enough to overcome the brain fog and the overwhelm that hits when their brain says, I can't learn this way. And that's what we're going to talk about as we go through the rest of this evening. But to make a long story short, in my many years doing instructional design, content design for higher education, for industry, and for nonprofits, I have had literally hundreds, if not thousands, of clients. And those clients have had massive transformations in their programs. And I'm going to share a few of those with you tonight. And knowing that I am able to replicate that in my 9-to-5 life over and over again, I made the decision to offer that as a business coaching program in my online space, because I really, really believe that some of you all have really important things to share. And let me just say, on Facebook the other day, I saw a post from a woman who is a coach for people who are diagnosed with cancer. And she was an oncology nurse. She teaches people who are going through chemo how to deal with the side effects better, how to avoid the pain and discomfort, and how to prep for chemo in such a way that they don't feel so sick and drained afterward. That's an amazing gift to give to the world. And if that person has that kind of gift to give, and the people who desperately need it can't really understand how exactly to apply the information that she has because of the way it's presented, then that is a tragedy. That's not just unfortunate. That is a tragedy. So there are some people who have things to offer that it is imperative that their genius get told, that it gets shared in a way that every single person who would ever need it or benefit from it gets access to it, and not only gets access to it, but genuinely is able to not only intellectually understand it, but to integrate it into their brains so that they can apply it in their lives and fix problems that would otherwise be life-altering, maybe even devastating. And that's why I do what I do. So moving on, that's when I became obsessed. And I did research. I had already done research. Research is part of what I do in my day-to-day job. But I know the benefits of what I teach. And I figured out a way to apply it to the online space. So a couple of quick examples. In the last year or so, I have worked with a math teacher in higher ed who took a program that primarily dealt with underserved communities, people of color who may not even have graduated from high school, may have gotten their GED, that had a failure or dropout rate of over 58% before I sat down with her and helped her with content changes. In one term, that same group of people that had had a 58% failure rate for years, it wasn't just one class, it was years of anywhere between 50 and 60% failure rate or dropout rate. She went to a 92% success rate at the same time that the class went from an entire semester to only 5 weeks in length. I want you to think about that. Not only did she basically double her success rate. She did it while cutting the time that she spent teaching those students by 2/3. That's just absolutely amazing. I also worked with a nonprofit that was doing computer program work for reskilling for people who need jobs. They had a 28% pass rate on national certification tests before we went in, and I helped them with some content changes. And the next group that came through had 100% pass rate. Again, historically, very low pass rates for group after group after group, and then suddenly 100% pass rate. And then in the online space, this was a friend, but still someone who teaches love and self-esteem, went from a nearly 11% refund rate in their last 2 launches to less than 1% after implementing just a couple of the strategies that I teach. So all of these are wonderful examples of why content design matters. And my entire business, and behind my picture, it says my life, changed the moment that I realized that content design was not just important in my day-to-day life. Content design is the most powerful and effective way to create more impact and net revenue in your business, bar none. There is nothing else that will make a bigger impact if you do it and do it correctly and consistently. But there are a couple of things to keep in mind. As with every single thing that we can do in the world, the first thing you have to remember is that this is going to seem like an inconvenience or even something difficult. So you need to get out of your own way. This is a process, and I tell all of my clients this: you are not going to be able, or probably not going to be able unless you have a really big team, to sit down and make all of these changes in a day or a week. If you're getting ready to launch October 1st, you probably aren't going to be able to have it all ready for that. But it's about taking action. One step, even baby steps, makes a difference. And once you have one step completed, then you can try and tackle another step and another. And eventually you've got everything to a design level that you are going to be really happy, and the results are going to continue to build with every step that you take. Also remember, perfection is your enemy. I'm sure you know this as entrepreneurs, but let me just say it again. There is no such thing as perfect, okay? Something could always be improved. Develop the one right thing mentality. I'm going to do the one thing that I can do now or this week with my program, with my course, and I'm going to do it the best I'm able to. And then I'm going to let go of making it perfect, and I'm going to move on. Your clients will never know the difference between good enough and perfect. So just remember that. So I promised you that I was going to teach you 3 different skills tonight to increase your impact and your revenue. And those 3 skills are scaffolding your content with action steps, being clear on the outcome or the promise that you make to your students, and the exact steps in the exact order that you need to teach them in order to get there. And then finally, understanding that content needs to be delivered in multiple modalities in order for all of your clients to be able to process it effectively. And if you don't know the word modality, that's something that we use a lot with our higher education clients and teachers. And it just means that modalities are visual, they're auditory, they're kinesthetic, they are different ways of presenting content. Okay, so for our purposes, we're talking about video, we're talking about audio, we're talking about text. Let's start with step 1. Scaffold your content. Now, I'm going to try to move myself so that you can actually read. There we go. Break your content up with action steps. I'm going to give you kind of a funny example. And just if you don't know me, I'm a big animal person, and I'm especially a big dog and horse person. So sometimes a lot of my examples come from animals, and part of that is because of my love for animals. Part of it is because I'm actually training one dog to be a therapy dog and another dog that I rescued from a kill shelter to be socialized with people enough that I can take him off leash out into the world. So I'm doing a lot of dog training right now. And so a lot of my examples come from that. But if you're training a dog, and let's say that you're training a dog for an agility test, an obstacle course, you don't start by trying to race them through the whole obstacle course. It won't work that way. You have to start with teaching them hand signals. You have to acquaint them with the various apparatuses and how to jump a barrier, how to go through a tunnel, how to work a teeter-totter so they don't fall off, right? All of that has to be done first before you can ever run them through the obstacle course for time. It's a process that you have to do. So you want to make sure that as you are teaching your topic, whatever it is that your niche is, that you break things up into small and actionable steps, just like you would with the dog. When you do that, be sure that you teach via examples or stories. The human brain learns really well through story, whether it's written, oral, or audiovisual, as with the Zoom call that we're doing tonight. But stories actually help us to process things better, as do really good examples. When you give examples, you help students to know better and to tell their brain better how to apply what it is that you're teaching, rather than to just intellectually understand the concept. Finish every teaching segment with a very clear recap of what you have taught them in that particular segment. And then instruct them, especially if it's a video, but even if it's text, instruct them to stop. Okay, if you're doing a video, ideally, you will stop the video after this, because you want the students to be given an activity that they must complete in order to integrate what they just learned into their brains so they can apply that step before they go any further. They may not know why they need to apply that step, but they need to be able to clearly process the one step before they continue. If you can't, for some reason, stop the video completely and tell them to go do the activity to integrate whatever it is, then be sure that you tell the students that they need to pause the video at that point and not come back to it until they have successfully completed whatever it is you've told them to do. And these activities don't have to be difficult. Depends on what it is you're teaching, what your niche is. It could be something as simple as go journal the answer to a question. It could be something as difficult as, go work with your dog until he or she will jump a pole a foot off of the ground every time you say up. That's probably not the first thing you're going to tell them, but you get the idea. Whatever it is that you're teaching in that particular segment, there needs to be something that the student does, either an action that they actually go physically do or a mental activity that they go through in order to move on. Okay, the second step, or the second thing we're going to talk about, is being clear on your outcome or your promise and how to get there. All of us make promises to our customers. I made a promise to you today that I would teach you 3 different hacks that would help you to increase your impact and your revenue in your business. That's what I'm teaching you right now. Your promise may be that you teach people how to get their dog ready to run their first agility competition, or it may be that you teach people how to have enough confidence to speak on stage. But whatever it is, try to make your promise measurable and tangible. Now, that's harder when we talk about things like confidence or when we talk about things like self-love, because those are really internal things that aren't very measurable or very intangible, which is why if you add something to the end of it, like my program will give you a greater amount of confidence so that you can do your first public speech at Toastmasters. That is an actual measurable activity that will demonstrate the outcome that you're promising. Once you are clear that you know exactly what the measurable promise is that you're making to your clients and your students, you need to make sure that you know the most effective, fewest steps for clients to take. This is where some programs fall a little bit off the wagon. And no hate, we're all constantly learning in the world. But some programs add in information that is a little bit extraneous to what is actually needed in order to be able to achieve the outcome. And because there's extra built in there that isn't clearly tied to the outcome, people get frustrated, they get confused, they don't understand the relevance, and it kind of sets them on a path of having the brain spin that they can't get out of. Once you have all of your steps, you need to make sure that your course or your program teaches them in the exact order in which they need to be accomplished to get to the goal. If you aren't 100% sure what that order is, you need to go back and talk to clients who have been successful. Or if you're a new coach or course creator, I seriously recommend that you offer some coaching or access to your ideas to some people for free and see in what order they need to be taught. Here's a real thing that happened to me in one of the programs that I joined. I was with a coach who was fairly new, but had just had a meteoric rise in business coaching and was really excited to work with her. Had a lot of people in her program that were doing really well. But when we got onto the group coaching calls, which were not necessarily structured, what I found was that because there were people in different stages of completion, they weren't necessarily following along with the weeks of the program, nothing was actually really taught in order. So if the first question out of the gate was about something that was taught 3 weeks ago, then we went from 3 weeks ago to maybe next week to last week to what's going to be taught the last week of the program. And it was very, very difficult for me to follow where was I supposed to be in this particular moment, because most of the content came from those calls. And with people asking questions that weren't relative to where we should have all been in that moment, it was very hard to follow along. And so be sure that you program your course or your group coaching in a way that it follows the very specific structure that people need in order to be able to do it successfully. And if you have live coaching calls where it is possible that people may be asking questions that get off track, be sure that you have a structure of what people should be doing before you answer those questions. And then tell everybody, if you have questions about this week, we're going to prioritize questions for this week first. And then everybody who doesn't need to ask a question about last week or 2 weeks ago or whatever, can jump off, and I'll stay on with people who are a little bit behind. And that way you don't get everybody confused that you're talking about something that either they thought they had already done, or maybe people who have kind of like raced ahead and are asking questions that you really haven't covered yet. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is delivering content in multiple modalities. And I've got some facts at the top of this slide. 38% of adults today learn visually, whether that is via text or via image. 27% learn auditorially, and 35% learn kinesthetically. So what does that tell us about your course or your coaching program? Well, it says that no matter how you deliver the content, one modality is only good for about a third of your clients. Now, yes, I know what some of you are thinking. If you do a video like this one, you're covering both the visual and the auditory learners, and you're probably right, but that's still at least a third or more than a third of your clients that are not learning the way their brain processes. So how do we fix this? Well, there are some simple ways to do it. One of them is that you can do something as easy as turning on transcription with your webinar service and take the transcript from your live calls or the videos that you make pre-recorded and feed them into ChatGPT or another generative AI function and get it to make you workbook pages. Most webinar platforms give you audio and video files, so post the audio file separately. Create even a podcast module in your course or your program so that people who really love to listen to podcast type audio while they drive, while they run, while they walk their dog, whatever, can have that audio experience that is what really turns them on and lights them up. And whatever your action steps that, remember, we talked about in step 1 to scaffold your content, whatever those are for your clients in your particular program, some learners will need to read them. So you'll need to have them in print. Some will need to hear or see them, and some will need all three. Now, this is a little bit contradictory to what is up at the top of the screen, but for directive behavior, so assignments is what we called them in school, people sometimes need both a written form and an audio or visual form in order to be able to process it correctly. Part of that is because we tend to write more succinctly than we talk. And so you'll find that a lot of people will give instructions with verbal examples that they will not include in text. But some people get distracted by the verbal explanation and then don't understand because you gave your discussion about training dogs, and this course isn't about training dogs, and I don't know how to apply training dogs to this. So some people do better with the more concise text version. But whatever the case, just understand that even if you are doing the scaffolding, you are going to have to offer the activities in a way that people can see them, hear them, and read them. Okay. So what were the 3 hacks that we just talked about? We talked about scaffolding your content. We talked about knowing the outcome that you promise and how to sequence the steps exactly and only the necessary steps to get your clients from point A to point B. And we finally discussed just a moment ago that you have to deliver your content in multiple modalities in order to be able to help the greatest number of clients to be successful in your course or your program. Having said that, I am not sure why you showed up today. Maybe you're frustrated that the need for larger and larger ad spend has caused you to plateau your revenue. But it could be that money is not your problem. Your problem is the stress that you're feeling because of the number of students who goes to your program, not giving any testimonials or feedback, just leaving, or even who might be refunding. Or that stress could just be because you never know how many people you're getting in a particular launch, and that not in the pit of your stomach is something you'd like to get rid of. Maybe you have heard all the buzz and excitement around how others are having success with content design, and you wanted to see how you could make it work for you. That's the least likely of all of these options, but hey, it's always possible. Or there is always the chance that you were just bored and wanted to come hang out with me, in which case, thank you so much. I appreciate people being here with me while I do this webinar. But regardless of why you're here, understand content design rocks. It sounds like a boring topic. It may seem like it is a little bit tedious, but it is an amazing, amazing way to make a difference in your business. It can, in fact, transform not just your business, but your life, because it can give you back the peace of mind that you have been missing. And I believe that if you have been on the call up until this point, you have what it takes to excel with content design and to make more impact and more revenue in and from your business. So this is something that we can get started with right now, if you're willing. Please remember, before we go further, nothing that I've shared with you today is theory. It is not fluff. It is not something I made up to try to create a business for myself. This is stuff that has been proven scientifically in all sorts of journals and educational studies that have been done all across the world, not just in the United States. This is what I do in my 9-to-5 work, and have been blessed with multiple awards, invitations to speak at dozens of conferences. And I have literally, without exaggeration, helped hundreds, maybe even thousands of people by this point get more repeat business, glowing testimonials, and 2 to 5x their client success rate in their course or their coaching program. Doesn't matter if you're new to online business, if you're new to course design, if you're a tech phobe and the idea of doing all of this makes your skin crawl, or even if you're just skeptical. You know, there's nothing wrong with being skeptical. Sometimes a good, healthy dose of doubt actually makes the transformation all the more impactful when we get to it. Everything that we do here is about baby steps and taking that one right action. But know from the beginning that the actions that I recommend are the ones that are proven by many people, not just me. So once again, let's beat the drum a little harder. Some of the biggest benefits of course design: the increased lifetime value you get from your clients. Now, hear me in the back if you haven't been listening. When your clients get bigger transformations, when they are more successful, then that ends some of your refunds, which is great. And that's a net profit right there. But more than that, they are more likely to rebuy from you. They are more likely to shout your praises from the rooftops and promote you to other people, including referring people that they know personally to your business. All of that lessens your need for paid traffic. Okay, not that you might not want to spend the same amount on paid traffic. If you're trying to scale, you might want to pay for that paid traffic on top of the organic marketing that your clients do for you. But that's scaling your revenue and impact. It's not spending more money to stay in the same place. As I mentioned before, another benefit is less stress and anxiety in your launches. I personally used to dread launches. When I was in the relationship space, I was someone who was terrified of launches because it just seemed like there had to be a better way. But if you have clients lined up waiting to buy who are messaging you without you doing a thing to cause it, saying, hey, I want to be in your program, or if you have customers asking you to create more product so that they can work with you more, that's amazing. You get more enjoyment, not just of your business, which is a blessing because we all want to do something that we not just believe in and love, but that doesn't stress us out and makes us feel good in the morning when we wake up, but it also makes you enjoy your life and your loved ones more. And of course, there is the bottom line of profit in your launches and impact in your business. Because as the middle of the slide says, you get to help move and inspire more people when you touch more lives. So if there's one thing I would like you to take away from tonight, I want you to understand that this is not a new concept that I am introducing. Content design is something that has been proven in industry, in education, and even in training in the not-for-profit world to make a huge difference in client success, in their ability to integrate and apply what you teach them. And that, in real dollar terms, brings them back for more education, for more referrals that they bring to you, and it lessens the likelihood that they are going to drop out of your program, whether or not they ask for a refund. Okay, so this is not a fly-by-night concept. It is also something that is very easily replicable in every niche. It's not something that only works for business coaching or marketing or health and fitness. It works in every single niche. So what's next now that I've spent a little bit of time beating you over the head with content design and some of the wonderful tools you can use to scale your business? Well, the obvious question is, how could you, if you wanted to, apply this and improve your business from content design? And the truth is, you have a choice. You can take what I've offered you here in this webinar tonight and go use it and tinker around with your course or your coaching program, and through trial and error, find what works for you. Or you could take the shortcut and you could use my program, which is called Sell Your Genius. What is Sell Your Genius? I'm so glad you asked. Thank you so much. It is my complete step-by-step group program that walks you through the process of refining your course or program content. It takes you by the hand to help you maximize client transformations in order to make more impact, which brings you more revenue in your business. And it helps you to avoid confusion or any missed steps of things that might make a difference. It is the quickest and most effective way for you to get from a place of frustration where your impact or your revenue is plateaued to success for your clients and scalability for your business, bar none. So what is Sell Your Genius? And I, again, thank you for asking. It is a 6-week group coaching program that, again, walks you through the 3 strategies we covered tonight in far greater depth, along with other strategies and tactics that are going to make raving fans of your clients and your customers so that they become your raving fans and are going to bring organic marketing to you and repurchase from you many times in the future. You get 24/7 lifetime access to this program. This is not a 6 weeks and it's taken away from you. This is something you'll want to use in your business, hopefully for a lifetime. And I intend for you to have it for a lifetime. So I not only am going to give you lifetime access to what we do together, but you will also get access to any updates that are done for the life of the program. Now, let me be clear. This particular offering that I am making for Sell Your Genius now is a pilot program because, as I mentioned, I've been doing this in my corporate 9-to-5 job for a long time. This is going to be a one-time, very special offer of Sell Your Genius. It will be offered many other times in the future, but this particular program will be partly structured by the participants in the program. because depending upon what your level of comfort is, what your questions are, and what you think that you need in order to do better and serve your clients more deeply, that's what we're going to add to this. So you will have everything that you could ever possibly want. It's also, as it says there on the right, going to be a very select and intimate group. I am not going to take more than 15 people in this pilot program because I'm going to hold everybody's hand through this process and provide incredibly visible and intimate support to each one of the people who joins. Because I still work in content design in the corporate and educational fields, I will not take more than 15 people because I can't offer that level of service to more than that number of people right now. But imagine all of these wonderful things that are listed here on your slide, one of which is clients begging you to work with them again. You know, that sounds like a pipe dream, but I know coaches who have people reaching out to them begging to be considered for programs they don't qualify for. Hey, you have a 7-figure mastermind. I know that I'm not making 7 figures. I'm barely making 6 figures, but I love you so much. Please take me. That's the kind of thing we're talking about. Okay. So introducing the solution to all of your problems, Sell Your Genius. That's a little bit of an overstatement. All you have to do is follow the steps. But if you join me in this very small group, here's what I am going to force you to master along the way. Module 1 is Know Your Promise. We talked about that a little bit tonight in terms of knowing exactly what the outcome is that you guarantee to your clients and how to get there. But we're going to go into a lot more depth and breadth where that is concerned. In Module 2, we're going to talk about scaffolding, which we also mentioned tonight, but we're going to talk about how to know where to scaffold and when to scaffold, how to know what types of activities in what various niches are appropriate, and how to guarantee that students are going to first intellectually understand, then be able to integrate the information before they move on to the next segment of your instruction. Module 3 is Provide Choice. That has to do with the modalities, and we're going to talk a lot about the different modalities and the different learning styles and some of the common mistakes that are made in each one in most coaching programs and online courses that you can avoid by simply following the program. Module 4 goes into teaching your genius effectively. Now, we all know that you are brilliant in your own field of expertise, but you may not be an educator by trade, or if you are, you may not teach this particular subject in your education field, wherever you are. So we're going to work on how to effectively teach in your particular field so that your students don't feel like they're being fire hosed with information, and that they can actually not just understand it, but understand why it's important every step along the way. Module 5 is Edit Your Genius to meet learner needs. In this country, we know that somewhere between 20 and 50% of the population has some form of neurodivergence, whether diagnosed or undiagnosed. There are a lot of simple things that we can do to meet the needs of people who may not even know they have a need. So in order to help people help themselves, we are going to talk about simple edits you can make to content that will address some of those hidden needs that your clients may never be able to articulate to you. And finally, in Module 6, we're going to talk about supporting their genius with amazing coaching and follow-up, because you know there's a difference between teaching and coaching. And even though some of you may be in niches that is very teaching heavy, if you are trying to teach someone how to use accounting software in your particular course or program, that is very teaching heavy. But there is still room for you to allow students to inject themselves into the process and to feel like they own what you are teaching, rather than just being passive bystanders who are accepting the dump of information that you're giving them. Now, if you've stuck with me this long, you may be asking, how much will this cost me? Well, I'm sorry, I have to keep moving myself because I'm in the way. All right, we'll just move me over here. There we go. You could hire a consultant or a done-for-you service provider to do all of this work for you. Those people exist. In fact, I have done those things myself. But you and I know that that would cost you thousands of dollars. And in fact, if you are someone who just says, I cannot possibly do this, I don't have a team to do this, I would need someone to do it for me, you can hire me. My done-for-you rate starts at $8,000, depending upon the length of your course or program. And generally, I'm not taking clients outside of my formal offers. However, if you are watching this replay or are here with me live, I will talk to you if you want to talk about hiring me at my normal rate to do all of your course or your program for you. But just understand that if I do that, at the end, you will have spent $8,000 or more, and you still won't know how to make all of these changes yourself. It will also, if you choose to do it all yourself based on what I've told you tonight, and you can also do some Googling and some looking around and figure out some other things that might be relevant to this particular topic. But you are going to spend time and you are going to spend some money in applications and software that you may decide that you need in order to do this without knowing exactly what it is that you actually need or what you need to pay for or not pay for. And there's going to be some frustration because there's going to be some trial and error involved. But, you know, what it costs you is up to you. And you're like, yeah, but what will you cost me? Now, I've already told you, if I do a done-for-you service, it's $8,000 or more, but Sell Your Genius is not going to cost you $8,000. It's not even going to cost you $1,000. For the pilot program only, and the cost will double the next time I offer this, the entire program can be purchased for 2 payments of $269. Or if you want to pay in full, you can get a 10% discount and get it for $497. That's it. If you decide that this is something that you would be interested in, you get 4 bonuses with the program. The first one is a bonus module, how to use AI to transform your content quickly. Remember, we talked about needing things in multiple modalities. So there's a pretty decent sized, actually, module that you'll be getting that is how to use various AI generative programs, both paid and unpaid, in order to convert existing content that you have or content that you plan to make from one modality to another to make life easier on yourself. You're also going to get Q&A support on WhatsApp for 8 weeks. Now, let me be clear, this is a 6-week program, but because I understand how important it is to do this and get it right, and I know that we are all very busy human beings, I'm giving you 2 extra weeks of Monday through Friday WhatsApp help from me as a bonus, plus the 6 weeks you're in the program. So you can reach out to me Monday through Friday at any point, ask me a question. You don't have to wait for our next call. There's also step-by-step cheat sheets for your team or your VA if there are things that, as the founder and chief cook and bottle washer in your business, that you don't want to be responsible for, or shouldn't be responsible for, to be really honest. There are some things tech-related that you can pass off to your team or your VA, and we will have those checklists for you for each module. And finally, there is a private Facebook group to work with each other, stay connected, and you get lifetime access to that Facebook group just as you do to the program. So for as long as you choose to stay, you have a group of people to support you, give you feedback, and I will be in that Facebook group to answer questions when others do not. And I am so sure that this is of value to you and to your business, that I have 100% 30-day satisfaction guarantee. If in the first 30 days of our 6-week program, you feel like you have not gotten sufficient value from the program based on what you've paid, I will happily refund you. Now, just to be sure, because, you know, most people are good people, and I'm sure every one of you are, but because there are very small numbers of bad apples in the world who join programs just to steal the content and then demand a refund, the only requirement I have of you, if you want a refund, is that you have been on a majority of the coaching calls at the point that you asked for the refund, and that you show me you've done the work. If you have the work to prove that you've done the stuff and you've been on most of the calls, then send your proof of work to terry@terrymilroy.com, and I will happily refund you in the first 30 days of your program. So let's talk again about some success stories from content design changes. Kelly taught a web design course that went from less than 50% completion rate to 100% completion rate in the first iteration after she did the content changes, and got more than a dozen unsolicited testimonials that she was able to use to promote her course. Caitlin went from a 20% completion rate in her course and a nearly 11% refund rate to a refund rate of about 1% and triple the number of completers, a little over 60% in the first time she launched after making her content design changes. And then finally, there's Lena, who had clients who just spontaneously started telling her the first time she launched after the changes, telling her how great her program was. And then she got more than a dozen referrals from existing customers before they even finished her program. And so she started her next launch with a list of people who were already waiting to buy from her. Once again, there's a lot. There just is. You've got 6 modules. I'm not going to read them again. You've got 4 bonuses. You've got 2 payment options. Payment plan number 1 is a 2 payments of $269 each. If you would like to save the 10%, you do have the option of paying in full, and that payment is $497. I'm going to put those links in the chat now, and you can make the decision what you want to do. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out now and put your question in the chat, and I will be happy to answer for you. Okay, and we lost power right before the thank you. So thank you to those who were on the call with me. I apologize for you guys getting cut off, but I hope that you were able to get what you needed. I'm going to wait and see if anybody is able to rejoin. But for the sake of the recording, thank you so much for those of you watching the replay. I appreciate your time. And I will hopefully get to see all of you in the near future. If you have any questions about the program, please email me, terry@terrymilroy.com. And for those of you watching the replay, cart opens on Monday. That is this coming Monday, September the 11th. And it closes next Thursday at midnight Eastern time. Well, your local time, midnight, your local time. So if you are interested in purchasing, there will be a link sent to you with the replay, and you'll be able to get in. Just remember, there are only 15 spots. And if I get 15 before next Thursday at midnight, then I will be closing the program. Again, thank you to everybody who joined me, and I hope that you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day.